Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Hunterizer Podcast, and we have very interesting guest today. And first of all, I'm David. I'm a co-founder of Hunterizer.
And I'm Vlad. I'm also co-founder of Hunterizer. And today we're joined by Rick Brazell, the founder and president of the First Hunt Foundation. And after decades of work in the United States Forest Service, Rick created the First Hunt Foundation to help preserve America's hunting heritage through mentorship, education, and community. And Rick has helped thousands and thousands and thousands of new hunters to become experienced ones, to go to the field. So with that, Rick, thank you for joining us. And can you tell us, after your long career with the Forest Service, what made you start this foundation?
Oh wow! Well, thanks guys for having me on. Well, I told you in earlier conversations. I worked 36 years with the U.S. Forest Service, so I was one of those guys that I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. But and when I retired, I was managing. I was a forest supervisor, managing over 4 million acres and 600 and something employees and 40-something $1 million budget. And our job was to manage all the national forests. But I spent most of my career, or at least the first part of my career, as a wildlife biologist. And because I just had a love for being in the woods and working with wildlife and that sort of thing, got my master's degree in wildlife management at Utah State and got in the Forest Service. And probably about 15 years in, I started getting into management because I felt like I could do more for wildlife and for the habitat if I was the guy making the decisions versus just recommending it. Well, I did that for 36 and a half years. And when I retired, I thought, what am I going to do? I thought, well, I've always loved taking kids out hunting. And so maybe I'll start a nonprofit just taking people out on their first hunts. And so I started the First Hunt Foundation. I had no idea that apparently there was a niche for this sort of thing because I started getting calls from people. I moved around with the Forest Service in many states, and friends of mine would say, well, can we do that over here? Can we take kids out? Started out with just kids, with youth. And I said, sure, we're a federal 501c3. So we started it. And before you know it, I woke up one day and we're like in 7 different states. And I'm thinking, that's when it hit me like, I might as well try to make this thing grow instead of just something for me to do when I retired. And all of a sudden, we're in 17 states, and it just keeps growing. We keep gathering new volunteers that had the same passion of helping new hunters learn about hunting and getting in the woods. And then I'm proud to say today that we're operating in all 50 states with right at 1,500 mentors. And our goal is to have thousands of mentors, just literally thousands of volunteers going, I want to help the next generation of hunters. Yeah, we've grown beyond kids. And as we started learning more about what was needed in the hunting community, we picked up a women's program called Share the Heritage. It's heritage with HER capitalized, and it's about getting girls and women into hunting. We started a program for veterans and first responders to get them into hunting, to get them to be mentors, to have a new mission. And our recent, well, it's been several years ago, we started one called Forgotten Rights, RITES, about underserved communities, because there's a lot of communities out there that just don't ever get into hunting. It's not part of their culture anymore. And so we're getting into those communities and getting them into hunting. So when us old guys, tap out one of these days, there's going to be a whole batch of new hunters out there that are still supporting hunting, voting for hunting, promoting hunting, and keeping our heritage alive. So that's, in a nutshell, kind of what First Hunt's all about.
Who was your mentor? Let's dive in the past. Who
Wow.
got you interested in hunting?
Yeah, that's an interesting story because you would think who I am and what I'm doing, that I was just raised and all that by hunters, but it was exactly the opposite. I did not. My dad was not a hunter. The only time he hunted I can remember is when my uncle showed up and they'd go hunting and I would cry. I was probably 5 years old. I was like, I needed to go with them and they wouldn't let me go because I'm a little kid. And so, but my dad didn't hunt. But something inside me was just driving me to be in the woods and to learn. And so my best friend, when we were in about the 8th grade, we started hunting together and we were figuring it out all by ourselves. Nobody to teach us. And anybody that would give us a time of day and teach us about something, we were like sponges, like, oh, teach me that, tell me that. I don't know anything about it. And I remember that struggle that I had as a young person trying to learn without having somebody in my family. And that's another reason the foundation is out there, to find those people that don't have that support group, that somebody that can teach them. And we will be that teacher. We will do that. And it's all for free because we're nonprofit. So that's my story. I didn't grow up a hunter. I mean, I grew up hunting as early as I could, but I didn't go out with my dad. I went one time hunting with my dad that I can remember.
Mhm. Wow, yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, because I also didn't grow up hunting, and then I started hunting. I was always going outdoors. I really loved spending time in the outdoors, but yeah, I started hunting only later. And I understand that I did it through another nonprofit, California Waterfowl Association, and yeah, I started absorbing this information from everywhere. Like if I meet a hunter, if I'm gonna watch any hunting show, it's just so much information. You go out there, you do it yourself, but yeah, you always want more information because you want to do it better. You want to yeah have this yeah mentality and absorb everything.
Yeah, and you get those magazines, the old Field and Stream and Outdoor Life, for me back in those days, and I'd wear them out. I'd read them so much and just like I want to do that so bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And then another interesting thing is, as I learned that you are from Idaho County, Idaho, this brought really warm memories for me because, as I said, like, yeah, in 2022, this is the time when me and my friend, we got a mule deer tag in, I think it was a zone number 19 deer management unit in Idaho County. And this is the least populated county in Idaho. And it's like a lot of, it's a wilderness, it's forest. We had such a good time. It's like the place where we camped was the nearest gas station was 2 hours driving, and there was no internet connection. And the nearest gas station was in Grangeville, but we were far away, and we got a mule deer, doe, and just such nice memories about the place.
Well, this is a neat part of the world. A little trivia for you: Idaho County is the third largest county in the nation geographically, and there's one stoplight.
One stoplight, huh?
Many communities, many little towns, but only one stoplight. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a ideal place for hunting and for exploring outdoors.
It is a great place for getting in the woods. Like I said, I had the national forest, two national forests, 4 million acres, and then you've got all the other public lands, state lands, and all that. So there's a lot of land here that people can get out and hunt.
So, looks like the three of us, neither of us have had a mentor. We started hunting by ourselves. What do you think? How important is it to have a mentor in the early stages?
Oh, it's super important. In fact, there's a lot of studies now that the mentoring program nationally has kind of taken off, that folks will be far more successful in an endeavor if they have a mentor versus trying to learn on their own. And I mean, think about what we have today. We've got YouTube videos, which when I grew up and you guys were younger, they weren't there. I mean, at least today you can go look at videos and see things. Back in our day, there was nothing except news articles or magazines. And so having a real live person who can uh, be personal with you, get to know you, kind of see your strengths and your weaknesses, watch you shoot and see, what you do to get rid of the flinch or whatever. That's just immeasurable in success for becoming a hunter.
Yeah, this is interesting that you and maybe you can describe what is the process of, let's say, a person goes through FHF. Let's say when I went through Cal Waterfowl, we had 2 days of training. The first day it's more like a classroom. You were listening to some regulations and ethics, and then the second, and we also had some weapon shooting. And then the second day was in the field when we were hunting pheasants. Like how it goes in FHF. Uh, I wonder.
Well, it's two ways. We do have organized camps, kind of like you're talking about, but we only have those where we have chapters organized, like a chapter president who can get all the mentors gathered up in an area and host a camp, because there's a lot of work goes into logistics and getting some funding and all that sort of thing. Uh, and then we have our individual mentoring program, which we have more of that going on because a person's going to take their neighbor kid out, or somebody from their church, or another lady takes another lady out, and that's a personal thing. Like, we have a training course, and I would recommend anybody that's interested in it's free in mentoring, go look up ABCs of Outdoor Mentoring. It's hosted by the NRA, and we spent like 120,000. It's an interactive 1 hour course that gets you thinking about, if I took a new mentee, and what do I do? What's the first thing I do? I mean, because they're all different. One of them comes in, well, I know how to shoot. I've been shooting 22s, but I've never hunted. Great, you know how to shoot. The next one's never even picked up a gun. And so you ask them, the ABCs of Outdoor Mentoring gets you thinking about, how do you get to know that mentee? Where do you find their flat spots? Where do you find their strengths? So what do you do as a mentor to train them? That takes the place of an organized, 3-day camp, because you're one on one basically, or you have somebody there if it's a kid, but you're training them. Okay, we're going to take you shooting today, and we're not even thinking about hunting, because I don't know how you shoot, and I'm going to be standing beside you, and I don't want to wound an animal. So until I know that you're confident in shooting, we're not going actually hunting. And that's the kind of stuff that we do on the one-on-one side, and we do that in the camp too. But usually it's a quick, boom, boom, boom agenda. Then we're going to spend 4 hours at the range, and then we're going to go do this, and then we're going to do field identification, then we're going to set up decoys for turkeys, and on and on and on. So there's two components: the one-on-one mentoring side and the organized camp side. And by the way, if anybody sees this and they would be interested in being a chapter president, we'd love to have you. And then we can do more events all across the nation.
We'll put the link in the description. We'll put
Yeah.
the link to the FHF in the
Yeah, I
description.
hope this happens, that people will enroll as students and enroll as mentors as a result of this podcast.
So let's say you're a new hunter. You just got your license. You bought your rifle or your shotgun, and you don't have a mentor. You go out in the field. What are your risks?
And you don't have a mentor? Wow.
Yeah, you just go by yourself.
Okay, well, one of the first things I think you got to do is just learn what you're hunting and where they're going to be. You can go out in the woods and hunt all day, and if you're not in the right habitat for, like, say, rabbits, just pick rabbits, and you're hunting in the wrong spot where there's no rabbits, you're wasting your time. You're going to get frustrated. So learn the animals' habits and all that sort of thing. And even more important, and why we're partly having this call, is if you're going out there, you need to know your state and what your regulations are. Because if you go out there and break the law, you're starting off on a bad foot, and you're going to have a hard journey after that, because you didn't follow the rules, understand the rules, check out the rules, and all that. And that's why I'm so impressed with you guys and what you're doing with Hunterizer, because I just, it's a tool that's so long overdue that I can't say enough about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we are, I think, all guilty of breaking at least some rules. Not because we are bad people or poachers, but because we just didn't know the rules in their full complexity. So
Right.
we,
It's easy to go out
yeah,
there as an example, and you don't know what time sundown is. 30 minutes after sundown is, and some people might not even know that you got to stop hunting, for certain species 30 minutes after. And so
right.
knowing those things like that could be a difference of having a good day and not breaking a rule and not getting in trouble, versus getting in trouble for being 10 minutes over because you just didn't know.
Yeah, and it's interesting that I mean, most for most game species, the shooting hours they end either on sunset or 30 minutes after sunset. But let's say in some places when you hunt spring turkey, let's say in California, the shooting stops at 5 p.m. But not everyone knows that. And it was interesting that when the first year that I was hunting turkey, spring turkey, at 5 p.m., I knew that it stops, and then I'm coming back to my car. I'm like drinking some tea, and then at around 5:15, all the turkeys come out from the forest right there on a, because they also know that the shooting stops at 5:15. So if you don't know exactly that you cannot shoot after 5, you think, hey, this is an easy deal, and you will get in trouble.
Apparently, they read the rules.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, how do they know that? Like, we know, we always know, like, some deer. You hunt deer hard. You didn't see any, and then you go to the gas station, and there are like big deer hanging out there. They know because nobody gonna shoot them there. But
That's
knowing
right.
I'm amazed that you have specific programs for women and veterans, especially women. I know a few lady hunters, but not many, and I think we need to bring more ladies into the sport. Can you share your insights on that?
Yeah, well,
Your experience?
actually, yeah, women hunters is the fastest growing component of new hunters in the nation. For whatever reason, few years, more women have started getting into hunting than any other group out there. And so we felt like we needed to have some emphasis on that program. And probably more importantly, having women mentors that can take out young girls. Because a lot of young girls look up to, oh, if you can do it, you're a woman. And an adult, and if you can do it, I can do it. But if they're looking at me, an old guy, I can teach them all the skills. I can, they can be successful and all that. But I think it instills in at least the young girls, when they see an adult female that's a successful hunter, like, I'm going to be like her, because we're that way. I mean, we're all that way. We look up to our role models, and we're always looking for somebody that is more similar to us that we can emulate. So the women program is a big deal for us.
I would bet my right arm that ladies are more disciplined and follow rules much stricter than men. Am I right or not?
I think you're probably right. In fact, I've trained hundreds of women in my career in life, and women, as a general rule, are better shots than men because you tell them what
Oh,
to do. They don't. They say, "Okay, do this, these three steps," and boom, you hit the bullseye. You tell it to a guy, and they're probably going to analyze it like, "Well, I'm going to hold the gun differently because I'm a dude," and so And so, but women, they'll do exactly, and they'll outperform. And I hear that from many. It's not just Rick Brazell talking. I've heard that from so many people that they're better at picking up stuff and keeping it. But I'll probably get
well,
some guys that be, bad mouthing us now, but that's okay.
the best snipers from the Soviet Union in World War II were women, I believe, or they were at least at the level of best men snipers, if not better.
Yeah.
So I trust you. I believe you.
Uh, yeah, and interesting thing, like, what do you think about if the number of hunters in United States is generally growing or it somewhat stays stable? You have any idea, impression about that?
I think, it during COVID, there was a big boost of hunters. It shocked
Right.
everybody. And I think the reason being is a lot of folks were thinking, hey, I need to learn to be self sufficient, and this hunting may be a tool for me to put some food on the table. Because who knew where it was going to go, with worldwide pandemic. And so there's a huge spike in hunter licenses. So let me rephrase that: hunter licenses sold versus hunters. I can buy, there's a one thing, kind of a trying to figure out, when does a person become a hunter? And the fish and game people would say, as soon as you buy that license, you become a hunter. Now, you may not have any skill at all, but you have a license, so therefore you are legally a hunter. And so just throw that out there. So license sales doesn't always equate to, in my opinion, somebody that's a true hunter. It could be somebody that's just learning a skill and wants to try it and that sort of thing. But anyway, there's a huge deal that kind of waned after a year or two, and now we're back to, I guess, what's more normal. But what the data shows is that the average age of a person buying a license is, in its 60s or 65 or more than that now, probably. And there's a bell curve. And if you look at that today and you follow that bell curve down to people buying licenses today, it's real small at the, 10 to 20-year-old range. And if you move that 10 years and that bottom side doesn't come up, all those old hunters are going to be dropping out in 10 years. And so in 10 years, there may be a lot of hunters today, I guess, is what I'm saying, but in 10 years, in some states, there's not going to be enough hunters to possibly even keep the doors open because there's not going to be enough license sales. That's part of the reason that we want to create all those new hunters. So when us old guys do tap out, there's this whole new generation that are supporting hunting, voting on hunting, keeping the hunting heritage alive, and that sort of thing. So you got to look at it in terms of not just today, but what's it going to be 10 years from now.
How do we shift that bell curve to the left? How do we get more younger hunters, younger people interested in the sport?
Right. Well, our model, and not just our model. There's other organizations, and even the state fish and game agencies. I'll say that in general because all of them have different names. They are all pro what we call the R3 movement: recruit new hunters, retain hunters, and reactivate hunters. And they have a lot of states. Most states have a person that's in charge of that in their state because they can see the handwriting on the wall that they've got to get more people involved in the for the long term. And so it's up to us. It's up to us that have some skills to give a little bit of our time to find somebody else to nurture them into the hunting world. So I mean, it's up to us. We've got to do it.
Well, probably the biggest reason why we started this business was to remove barriers from new hunters because the barriers are very steep. You know, as a new hunter, you need to go deep into regulations, and for California, it's I think three. Yeah, I think it's three big booklets, like 100 pages each. You need to read them, dive deep, and study them. And that's, I think, it's a big barrier for, especially for the younger generation with, short attention span.
Well,
Yeah.
it's scary. It's scary when you look at a lot of states' regulations. And I, I mean, I've been hunting a lot of years, and I get the regulations every year for Idaho, and they change, and that's not good or bad. I'm a avid supporter of the fish and game agencies because I was a biologist, and I'm having faith that things are managed by the best science. Some people can disagree in certain species and certain places, but I really have been friends with a ton of biologists. But anyway, the regulations change over time, sometimes yearly, sometimes every 2 3 years, and so it's hard to keep up with all that stuff. And a new hunter, especially, it's almost overwhelming. But even us old guys sometimes have trouble trying to. Oh, they changed that. Well, that I didn't know that. When did they change that? That's always happening.
Yeah, when it does change. And yeah, let's say, and yeah, another thing is, yeah, just people may be hunting certain species. Let's say they're just duck hunting, but there are so many other opportunities, and to hunt other like small game or to try out the big game. And yeah, some people they may need some kind of like little push towards that. And by not knowing some regulations or not knowing the place where to go and how to do it, this may be some barrier where either some mentor, somebody, your hunting buddy that can come with you that may help. Or on the other hand, the technology like the Hunterizer Seasons App, something that tells you what are the limits, what are the seasons open, etc. Tools like that can be helpful for, especially for the new hunters.
Yes, most definitely.
Uh,
Although we have met with some criticism from older hunters who are telling us, hey guys, you're making it too easy for people to come into the sport, and the sport needs to have a healthy barrier blocking some not very motivated younger hunters. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's. I'll be blunt. I think it's selfish. I mean, I'm like anybody else. I'm hiking somewhere and I'm all excited. Then somebody comes in and blows my hunt or competes with me, and I get a little aggravated. Don't get too upset because it's usually public land. But would I ever deny them that right to have that opportunity that I've had and enjoyed? I would say no. I'm glad other people are doing it. So I I would never be an advocate of keeping people out of hunting. That we got too many hunters. That's one of the reasons in certain states you have draw permits and you only have 60 permits, and so you're only going to run into 60 people. And that's the beauty of it. There's areas like that you can put in for and hopefully draw out, like Utah. I've got 15 points. I've been 15 years trying to get that special hunt for elk, and so I get it. Hope I get it before I'm in a walker. But even if I am, I'm going. By the way, uh, but there's other open areas that you're going to probably run into somebody. And that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, especially in California when people are complaining about many hunters in California. Well, California here it's very underappreciated hunting, I would say, but the number of hunters here is by percentage, it's around 0.5% of the population has a hunting license. So this is very small. It's one of the smallest percentage of population in the United States. And yeah, people, we want to see more hunters being in the field because they promote more hunting policy. They vote for hunting. Yeah, it's important to have more people to go in the field, and people who just have hold to their honey holes and they're afraid someone gonna come in and their hunting opportunity is gonna be reduced. Yeah, they just don't look in front of them.
Yep.
Yeah, so maybe we can switch to talking about our Hunterizer app. So we can talk about the reason why we started that, Vlad, because you may remember those stories when you weren't sure if you can shoot those birds that you saw.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was next to that valley. I was in the Panamint Valley. So the Panamint Valley, then Panamint Range, then that valley. And I saw quail. And I wasn't sure that that quail was in season, so I basically missed. And then when I came home, I looked in the regs and I found out I could have taken them. That kind of motivated me. That was my own failure story.
Yeah, and for me it was. I mean, I'm somewhat of a like a regulations nerd. I was reading all these regulation booklets and writing things down. And of course, you cannot remember everything. And then I started to putting things together in a more kind of visual way so that I remember. The first thing I did was I put together the hunting calendar, so where you have all the 12 months, and then you have all the species listed and when their season is open, so that when I'm in the field, let's say in September in California, we have a grouse season that's opening, I think, so, first half of September. So that when I go hunt deer and I see a grouse, I know that I can shoot the grouse. And then it somewhat evolved, and there are so many species. Let's say in California, I think we have around 50 species we can hunt or so. Yeah, in Texas, it's more than 60. And yeah, remembering all that is nearly impossible, especially when you are open to more opportunities. When you go in a field in a forest, and yeah, this is the reason why we created so that hey, you see some animal, the game species. Hey, is the season open? You just open the app and you would look it up. What's the shooting hours? What's the season? What's the uh, daily bag and possession limits?
Yeah.
What kind of hunter are you, by the way? Are you dedicated to one species only? Like if you go deer hunting, you will only hunt deer, or are you open to other opportunities as well in the field?
I I used to joke when I was growing up that I'd hunt anything that cried, flied, or slithered. So I would chase anything. I love it all. I mean, I my passion is elk hunting with a bow, and then and with a muzzle loader,
Mhm.
and I hunt deer, white-tailed deer. I put in for mule deer every year in certain areas because there's not that many close to me, but I'll put in for them. I'm putting in for Utah. Before I get too old, I'd like to kill at least a 300 bull. I'm not a trophy hunter, but I'd like to kill at least one big bull someday, just because I think they're cool. Uh, they don't eat as good, but they're just cool. I did my master's thesis partly on elk, so I have a love and a passion for elk. I love waterfowl hunting. Haven't done as much of that lately. Rabbits, grouse, pheasants. I just about name it. I love doing it all. I don't do it all anymore because I just don't seem to have the time. I don't have a dog anymore to go upland bird hunting, but I just love it all.
Oh yeah, yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah, I'm somewhat the same. Yeah, I want to hunt everything. I mean, especially when it's the first time your first species. Yeah, it's such a fascination when you shoot it first. Yeah, yeah. I've also hunted. Yeah, waterfowl, upland birds, deer, antelope. I hunted elk, but it was unsuccessful, and I learned my lesson. I think it's elk is not easy.
It's not.
Yeah, but yeah, I would love to get my first elk.
How open to technologies have you been in your life? I mean, when the Onyx came out, did you immediately start using it, or
Well,
did you continue to use paper maps for a while?
I went to Onyx as soon as it came out, as soon as I could, because I could just see the benefit of it, and uh, it's funny because I just turned 72 the other day, and I tell people I'm still climbing trees, which I am, because I just love hiking the hills and putting tree stands up and chasing critters. But I'm not a tech nerd, but I think
Mhm.
technology is just so cool that you can pull up Onyx and see where you're at, see where the next landowner is, see who it is, maybe give them a call, know who to call. I just love that technology.
Your brain must be very young because you are the, as we call it, the early adopter. Those are like only the first 4 or 5% of the population are the early adopters,
Yeah.
and you're one of them. That's very cool.
Well, when the Forest Service, I was there when we didn't have computers in the Forest Service. Didn't have them at all. Everything was on paper and had the carbon copy stuff. So I'm pretty old. And when the first computer came, it was big enough to cover your whole desk, and it got so hot you could cook on top of it. So I'm that old guy that watched technology come in, and back in the days when they did Fortran at college, and I had took a Fortran class, and I had to do all the hard cards and run them through. And I, anyway, technology, it kind of fascinates me, but I always get in trouble with it because I'm not afraid to get into it, but I always mess it up.
Yeah, I wonder from point of view of mentoring, like how would you talk about the evolution of a hunter? So let's say there are some people who are enter hunting, they start hunting, they just want to shoot everything, and then they let's say if you're duck hunting, some people gonna say, hey, I'm not gonna shoot the duck that is sitting on the water. I'm only gonna shoot the one that's flying. So people start skipping certain things and making it harder for themselves. Let's say they're gonna, hey, I'm gonna skip this deer, I'm gonna let him grow. Like what's your view about how the hunters are evolving in terms of their habits?
Well, that's a very good question. And it very obviously it's going to vary from person to person because everybody's different. We get a lot of people. The first thing they say, I want to hunt elk, and they've never hunted before, and we always go, okay, take a breath. Maybe, just maybe, let's just start you out on turkey or something that we have a really good chance of getting out and seeing one and calling one in. And your first big game probably should be a deer because there's way more deer than there are elk. And for us, especially for youth, an elk hunt is usually an overnight, 2 or 3 day in the backwoods. We can't do that with youth unless a guardian is with them, and that just almost excludes the youth from doing that. You might have a day hunt every once in a while if you got a ranch that has some cow elk or something. Uh, so it varies. I mean, and each mentor, we've got nearly 1,500 mentor, and I would say if you got them all in a room, they have a lot of similarities, but they also have a lot of things that are different. They were raised different, taught by different people. Have We all have ethic value. It's part of our deal. Is you got to be ethical, or follow all the laws and rules, and we don't even allow. And if we hear about it, we get on to people. Uh, there's a lot of people like, oh, you killed a deer, you got to take a bite out of the liver. That's a tradition. Things like that, and we tell people you can have all those family traditions you want, but first hunt will not do anything that is perceived by the public as odd or gross, or because again, that non-hunting public member says, "Oh, they took my kid out and made him take a bite out of a liver, which could have diseases and all that stuff." They're going to think hunting is bad, the foundation is bad. So we say, no, we keep it all plain, we keep it simple, we teach them ethics, teach them how to be successful and graceful in not being successful. But we don't teach them any weird stuff like all that kind of stuff. And you'll see a lot of that. It's amazing how much of that's out there. And I have to get on to some of our mentors. Like, we don't do that. That's cool for you and your family, but it's not cool for a national foundation trying to teach hunting
Yeah.
ethics and values and tradition and all that sort of thing.
Let's talk about negativism towards hunters. Have your mentors been harassed? Have you been harassed by those who oppose hunting?
No. You're talking about being harassed in the woods, or
No, 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 no. By those who hate hunting. Have you experienced any of that?
no, not in any big way. That doesn't mean that it won't happen. We think about it happening. I've been on the other end of that when I was working for the Forest Service. There was one of my employees that had trapped a wolf, and legally but he posted it on a wolf trapping site. Well, it went viral, and I had over 6,000 emails and over 200 hateful calls from all over the world. I mean, literally Australia, Spain, and they wanted that guy's head on a stick
Oh,
because he killed this beautiful animal. It was all legal, totally legal. And when I tell them it's legal, they get upset with me and scream at me and all that. And so I saw that other side of the anti-hunter that just hated anything that was perceived to them as bad. And then another instance, I had 23,000 hate mails when I was a forest supervisor because the Fish and Game had killed some wolves by helicopter and on the forest, and they assumed that I had something to do with it because I'm the forest supervisor. Well, I didn't even know they were doing it because they don't have to ask permission to do it. But I had 23,000 emails within a day or two. So
Oh,
think about how that's going to bomb your inbox. And I actually called the people who started it and asked them told them I had nothing to do with it, and if they would please shut it off and let people know that. And they told me no. And so I thought, wow, that's interesting. So I've seen that dark side of it, but as far as the foundation goes, so far we haven't. Doesn't mean we won't. Probably will someday run into it.
mhm.
I think in
Yeah, for
California we
sure.
have a big anti bear hunting movement.
Yeah.
Lots
Yeah,
of people oppose that.
But
yeah.
it's interesting that again in the R3 world, they do a lot of research. 75% of the American public support hunting if it's for food sustainability. If they think you're going out there to feed your family, the polls have shown that 75 of the non-hunting people said that's okay. What they don't like is sport hunting for heads, just killing things, like predator control. You don't eat the coyotes and the wolves and all that, and mountain lions. Well, some people eat mountain lions, but they don't support that because they don't view that as something in their world that is something that should be supported. But 75% of them support people feeding their families like deer and turkeys and grouse and all that. So that's a good thing. And we need to capitalize on that and make sure we don't ever lose at least that support.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah important for the people who hunt to talk about the ethical hunting to their friends who are non-hunters, so that more people know about it. So, for example, I always tell that hey, the species that people hunt, they are the species that are thriving. Uh,
Yeah,
the species that are legally hunted and that have regulated hunting, they never go extinct because hunters care about the population of species staying good, and the fish and wildlife agencies, they are also they issue the certain number of tags and the regulations that make sure that the population is thriving.
yeah.
What does First Hunt Foundation do to promote hunting among non-hunters, among those who oppose hunting, among, among the general population?
Yeah. Well, we don't necessarily target those folks. I think I know what you're asking.
Hmm.
We hope that by our example of teaching ethical and how to shoot, the safety, how to harvest, how to do everything ethically, following the law and the rules and all that sort of thing, that we will be viewed as somebody who's responsible, an organization that's responsible in our mission and what we're trying to do. And so, but we haven't. I guess we haven't purpose. We only have so much energy, and that energy's spent on doing the stuff that's helping the new hunter, and our marketing is geared toward getting more mentors, more people interested in teaching. We're a teaching organization, if you think about it. We're not a hunting organization. A guide is a hunting organization. They're guiding you, all that. We don't necessarily, half of our time, 46,000 days in 2024, over half of that was training days. That's teaching you how to shoot, teaching you how to scout, teaching you how to look for things in nature. Uh, and the other half is actually taking them hunting. You don't just take somebody out one day and go hunting. You got to train them usually before you even take them out. But a little off of your topic there, but we don't target the antis. We just don't have that energy to do that.
And also one more question. So you got registered with the Hunterizer Seasons app, and I guess you looked through and started using it. How do you think this will help hunters to navigate the hunting world better?
Oh, I think, like I said earlier, and I haven't been in it that long. I got it, and it doesn't cover Idaho yet. And I know you guys are going to get that, but I went into Montana because I'd, been over there, and I picked spots, and it just boom pulled up everything that's open on today in that particular spot that I could have been standing in, and I would have known exactly what I could and couldn't do. Say I'm going to Montana, I just click that spot and I'll know. So having that information at your fingertips in today's world, especially the young people, they want instantaneous stuff. They don't want to wait. They want it now. And that, from what I can see, and tell me if I'm wrong, I can get that information so quick now for that state that where Hunterizer is working, and just find out so much information. I'll be better equipped going out there. I'll be better able to follow the rules, understand what I can, what do I need to take if I'm going over there. Oh, I see rabbit season's open. I'll take my 410. I mean, before I might not even thought about that. So it's amazing to me. I'm excited to get this thing going across the nation, and I want all of our mentors to see it as a tool to show the mentees, like, hey, you're getting into hunting. Here's something that you should do. And by the way, there's another video I did. It's pretty long, 52 lessons that I did. 360 Sportsman, and it's free. It's one of their courses that's free. If you're even thinking about getting into hunting, go to 360 Sportsman and take that 50 something lessons, little short lessons on, oh, you want to be a hunter? Have you ever thought about this? Boom, how to hold a gun when you're walking, how to look for tracks. Just, it's pretty cool. And they did
We'll
that for
definitely we'll put
free.
a link to the description definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and it's free. I mean, their courses are, you pay for them, but that one they did for free just because of new hunters trying to get into hunting. And where do I start? Talks about regulations, and I wish that I'd had Hunterizer then, so I could have pointed to it then. But at then I didn't even know it existed. So
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your kind words.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, this is yeah, we want remove the barriers from hunters. Yeah, we want to have the information available at your fingertips, and as much as possible. Like we're actually thinking to adding more information. Hey, when you already have this carcass, what do you do next? Because the best thing you is it if you know how to gut them on the spot, or let's say if you want to get a rug from the animal. Hey, how do I make the cuts, or like what are the best pieces of meat that you should take? Yeah, ideally we would like to have as much information as we can, but we're just starting from the most basic things like the regulations, the shooting hours, the limits, yeah, daily bag and possession limits, and some more.
We'll get there. We're a small team, but we'll get there. We're moving very, very quick, I think.
Uh, and of course, we
Um,
will cover more states. Yeah, looks like you have a lot of mentors and mentees in the western states like Idaho and Washington. And yeah, we'd be happy to cover those states as soon as possible.
yeah, I think we already made a decision to reprioritize. We had another list in mind, but now that we want to provide this to your mentors and mentees, we will reprioritize and cover, states with the most mentors and mentees first.
yeah, well,
Promise you that.
the tool that I think is just invaluable, long overdue. So thank you for
All
doing
right,
it.
Rick, I think that was a wonderful episode. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing your insights and the work you're doing for the first Hunt Foundation is helping keep our hunting heritage strong. And thanks to everybody listening.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.